Hello and welcome, my name is Matt, and with this series I will be teaching you how to make a game. I will teach you the basics of programming to some advanced functions, then a 2D game, then a 3D game using DirectX, and a 2D game will be in either Allegro or SQL. I'm not too sure which one I'm going to go for, but I will make up my mind pretty soon. And along the way I will try and teach you something about efficiency, which is very important in games making, as the games, if games aren't efficient enough, then they will lag, which I'm sure everybody who plays games and wants to learn how to games program will not like that. Okay, firstly I have to say that I learned this and everything that I'm going to be teaching at Southampton Solent University. These tutorials are not copies. I will not be copying anything. I will not be using anything that I've got from them, only my own knowledge. Admittedly, all the idiosyncrasies that I may have learned at uni will probably be transported, transfused, whatever you'd call it, to you, but I will try and keep them down to a minimum, as you don't want them. Why would you want them? Anyway, yeah, first lesson. Okay, this first lesson will be based on getting started and learning the basics. First of all, obviously you're going to need something to program in. Now, these are called IDEs, which stand for Integrated Development Environments. They are basically programs that will let you create programs and will have something called a debugger in and a compiler. A compiler will run your code, it will turn your code into a working program. The compiler will also have a debugger. A debugger will allow the program to run in a protected area, which means that if your code is to fail at any point, it shouldn't, although it has been seen to happen, but it shouldn't. It will reduce the risk of the computer just completely breaking down because all the memory is protected, the CPU usage is protected. It's pretty hard to crash a computer when you're running a program in debug mode. But at uni we did actually, I knew someone who did do that. But yeah, pretty hard. Okay, so I'm going to take you through 3 of the IDEs that I'd probably recommend using. First of all is Microsoft Visual Studio. It's not free unless you're a student. If you're a student, you can just go to DreamSpark and you can download it there. It's really great. It has a really powerful debugger in, and personally I've had no problems with it. Another one that I'd probably recommend is CodeBlocks. It's completely free. You don't have to be a student for it. It's open source, and it also includes a pretty decent debugger. And you won't see very many differences between Visual Studio and CodeBlocks really. And the last one is Bloodshed. Bloodshed Dev C++. I started with this. It's basic, very basic. It doesn't really have much help to it as a programmer. I probably wouldn't recommend this one as much as the other two, but if you're having trouble getting the other two, then this one might be your only choice. I will be mainly using Visual Studio, but I will try and use CodeBlocks and maybe a little bit of a Bloodshed, just to give you the basics of how to use each of the programs. It depends if anyone gets stuck with them really. They're pretty simple to use. Okay, so now we're going to actually talk about programming, because now you know what programs to get to be able to program. The 3 main programming functions are variables, methods, and classes. There are a lot more, obviously, but these are the main things that I'm going to talk about today. Variables. So what is a variable? If I go back to my trusty Paint here, because I can. Okay, so if you imagine a bucket, see my brilliant drawing skills going on. There's a bucket. It's a bucket, trust me. Okay, and then another bucket of a different colour. Let's go for blue. We like blue. Oh, that one's a bit weird. Okay, so if you can imagine, you can only put blue objects into the blue bucket. So we're going to do some weird bad circles and misshaped everythings. and then in the red bucket you can only put red objects. So to these buckets you can add the blue or red objects. That's not a problem. You can subtract them, you can take them away, you can multiply them. You can do anything with these red buckets and the blue bucket, obviously. What you can't do, you can't put red stuff in the blue stuff with ease, obviously. I mean, if that's the one rule, you're not allowed to swap colours, then there you go. The reason I use this bad metaphor is because variables can hold many different data types, from like numbers, characters, to really pretty much anything, but we'll talk about that later. You can convert numbers to strings, which strings are like words, characters. However, this is a conversion method that I will talk about later. It's not as simple as just saying the number equals the string. It's not as simple as that, or the string equals the number even. You do actually have to convert it. So the basic bucket thing is that you cannot move a red to a blue or a blue to a red with ease. It's possible, but not with ease. Okay, so the three main types of variables that I'm going to look at are integers, which are whole numbers, strings, which are multiple chars, which chars is short for characters, and doubles, which are similar to integers, just decimal placed. Each variable takes up memory. They're not just floating around in nothing. They all take up memory. So very basic, an integer takes up 4 bytes. Okay. An integer can take up more or less, but I will go into that later. The basic generic integer takes up 4 bytes. A string will take up as many bytes as there are characters. So if you have like a 5-letter word, then it will take up 5 bytes. And a double takes up 8. Obviously, it takes up 8 because it's twice as much as an int, because it has the decimal place. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is methods. Methods are functions for the program. Program. Once they're called, they will perform their actions, be it calculating or changing variables, returning values, etc., etc. They are very basically the part of the program where stuff happens. It can be called at any point. They're just doing things, doing functions. Okay, we'll go into them next week. Obviously, we will actually write one, maybe. Yeah, we probably will. Classes. Classes are objects in a program. If you can imagine a basic game, there will be a class for the player, a class for the map or the level, and there will be many others, but these are basic examples. There will be one for player, one for the map, one for the enemies, and so on and so forth. Classes will hold class-specific variables. I was about to say values, but variables, values, either way, and methods. So these methods will probably be directly linked to just that class, and probably won't be used for anything else. They can be called by anything else, but they won't be used by anything else. Okay, so that is my first very basic understanding. I hope it's easy to understand. It probably isn't, but believe me, it'll get easier and easier as you start to do it. Hopefully I'll be able to explain myself a lot more when I'm actually using code, not drawing pictures. Okay, so that was a basic overview. So next week we will actually be doing some coding. Or I say next week, next tutorial we will do some coding, which I will get everybody who joins in to display a hello world message in the command window, which very exciting, isn't it? But it's the first place that you start when programming. And that will be basically putting what we've learned today into action. So please download one of those IDEs which I named. I'll put the link in the description bar underneath. But they were, as an overview, Microsoft Visual Studio, which I would recommend quite highly if you're a student, or CodeBlocks, which is free, and Bloodshed. Okay, so last part of the video, I'm probably going to do this every single week, but there's going to be a little advanced section for people who think that they can do more than what I'm giving them. Okay, so what I want you to do, all those people who think they can do the advanced work, go onto the internet, go onto that nice World Wide Web, and find out what scope in programming is. Just the scope of programming. I will talk about this in next episode, so you can find out and make sure that you got your answer correct and your understanding correct, but scope, it's quite important. So thanks for viewing, and see you next tutorial.